Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 272 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. This is the final podcast of 2020. It's been a crazy year. There's been some crazy guests on this year as well. It's been quite a big year, actually, for the podcast. Obviously, last week's guest, the Christmas special guest, was Nigel Benn. I've had some fantastic feedback on that, so thank you for that. And this is the final podcast of the year. It's going out on Thursday, the 31st of December, so obviously New Year's Eve. I doubt anyone's actually going to listen to it until the new year, but this is the end of year special, if you like, episode 272. We're going to go over the KO of the year, the fighter of the year, fight of the year, lots and lots of things. The awards, the 2020 awards. We're going to discuss the ones that you have kindly sent in for myself and Eddie to sink our teeth into. But with no further ado, I must welcome my co-host, who's been with me through the thick and thin of all these podcasts, pretty much since the first lockdown earlier on in the year. It is, of course, the former heavyweight world title challenger himself, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, thanks for coming on once again. How are you, man?
No problem. I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
All good, my friend. Always good when speaking with you. So we're going to dive into things here. We're going to start with the review part. There was actually a card to review. I missed it, but I'm going to read the result out. It took place at the Shrine Exposition Center in Los Angeles, California. Friend of the show, Alantez Fox. He's now 27-2 with a draw. A unanimous decision for him over 10 rounds against Mark Anthony Hernandez, who's now 14-4 with a draw. We will be speaking to Alantez Fox later on in the show. He will be the sole guest. I'm looking forward to that. Also on that card, by the way, James Kirkland. It was shocking, actually. He stepped in there. His record 34-2. He was down 3 times in the first round against Juan Macias Montiel, who is now 22-4 with 2 draws. He's not actually a fantastic opponent, to be honest with you, Juan Macias Montiel. But yeah, he stopped James Kirkland there. He looked absolutely deprived of any remaining punch. What's the word I'm looking for? Punch resistance. James Kirkland, he just doesn't have it. So that was the one thing to review. I'm going to quickly go to the piece to preview, which of course takes place in a couple of days' time at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas, USA. Ryan Garcia, 20-0, the undefeated high-flying lightweight. He takes on Luke Campbell, the former gold medalist from the 2012 Olympics, a guy who is way more experienced than Ryan Garcia. Luke Campbell, obviously, in his 3 losses, they came to Yvonne Mendy, in which he came back and avenged that loss. And then he lost a very close fight to Linares on the road. I think that one took place in Compton or something strange like that. Somewhere really strange in the States. And then no, in fact, it wasn't Compton. It was somewhere. Oh, God. It's going to drive me insane. I'm going to check it now. I hate to do this, but can't remember everything all the time. It was in like a place what me being from the UK assume as the hood. And I'm not talking about parts of North Philly. Inglewood. Is that the hood?
Yeah. I imagine so. It's like from what I heard, it's like I want to say a suburb to like Los Angeles or close by, I guess, like somewhat on the outskirts of it a little bit. Kind of like if you're in like Philly and you're in what part? I can't even think. Like you're in Lansdowne area or Upper Darby or it's a place you have no clue about, but or Drexel Hill. They're like suburbs of, the nicer areas, let's say, of Philly. I'm not sure if Inglewood, California would be qualified as that. That might still be tough. I don't know. I've never been there, but I'm thinking that that's what it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, Luke Campbell lost a very close one to Linares there, and then, of course, his other loss came to Vasily Lomachenko. So he's never been stopped. He's been down a couple of times, but it's a very intriguing fight because we're led to believe that Ryan Garcia is the best thing since sliced bread, and he hasn't really had the opponents to show that just yet. I understand he's turned into a bit of a star. He's definitely a social media star. He's got a huge following, and he's been carefully maneuvered. And this fight here it's an interesting one for all those reasons. And we will see if he's really capable of big things. I think Luke Campbell will provide the answers, actually. I think if he was to stop Luke Campbell, which a lot of trainers that I've seen on Twitter and stuff like that, they're predicting that. A lot of trainers from the US, they think he's going to wipe the floor with Luke Campbell. If he does do that, it'll be highly impressive. But we've seen fights like these, Eddie, in the past. I'm sure you've seen many, many of them. Not with a guy who's as big of a star as Ryan Garcia, but you've seen a guy with not a padded record. He's beaten some decent guys, but no world beaters or anything like that. He's got to 20-0 now. Hasn't really boxed. If I was to ask you how many guys do you know who he's boxed, you probably couldn't name two. Neither could I. And he's got himself to 20-0, a bunch of knockouts. He's looking fantastic, but here he's in with a very seasoned guy. Not to say that Garcia wasn't in the amateurs, because he had quite a deep amateur career, but he never went to the Olympics. He certainly didn't win a medal. He certainly didn't win a gold medal, and he hasn't been in there with anyone like Lomachenko or Linares or a few of the other guys that Luke has been in with.
Right. I agree, and it's all about opposition. You know what I'm saying? You can have the glossiest, nicest, most beautiful looking record, the most beautiful everything, boxing style and all of that. It won't matter for shit once you step into somebody who actually got game. And that's the thing about this fight. I actually think that Ryan Garcia has what it takes, the capabilities of doing things in the ring that could say maybe stop a guy like Luke Campbell. Maybe. But we haven't seen him in there with another guy or anyone that kind of replicates that kind of challenge for him. You know what I mean? The guys he's been in the ring with, no disrespect to those guys, but they weren't to the level of what a Luke Campbell is. So them stepping up to this level here really shows the belief that his team has in him. You know what I mean? And they must be seeing a lot of good things in sparring, and maybe he's training with some guys that are high level and he's doing really well with them. But you don't want to. There's been a time where I've seen something not like this. It wasn't quite like this. I mean, obviously, Ryan Garcia is known all over, but there was a guy by the name of his name was Ralph Tiger Jones. He was from Pittsburgh, PA, right? And he fought on his record, maybe I don't know, he was like 30-0 or something like that at the time. And he fought. I'm talking about guys with losing records. I mean, his combined win percentage of his opponents was like 25%, and that may be generous. So it's like, I mean, they're horrible. He fought guys literally out the bar. So they had an idea of saying, oh, okay, hey, he's doing well, he's good. We feel like he can beat one of the best. Let's put him in there with Ike Corte. I don't know if you remember. You remember Ike Corte, don't you?
Yeah.
He had a jab that was like a right hand. He got in there with Ike Corte and then last 2 rounds. So it's all about your opposition. If you're beating everybody and you're beating everybody who's legit, then yeah, you can be real great. You could be, oh man, he's going to be the next one. But if you're beating guys who, quite frankly, aren't even worth talking about, then you know what I mean? Don't come talk to me until you decide to step up your game and fight somebody who's really who could really put you on your behind or at least beat you. You know what I mean? And I think in this situation, he's doing that with Luke Campbell. So at least we're going to get an idea to really see what he has in front of having a legit guy in front of him. So I'm looking forward to it. I think he has what it takes, but we'll have to see.
And another fantastic thing for UK fans, it's actually, I believe, the event the main event, I'm sure it's the main event, kicks off at about 11 p.m. UK time. I think it is. It's either that or the card starts at that time, which means it's quite early over there in the States. You'd have to double check that, but it's not going to be one of those nights where you've got to stay up till 3 or 4 or 5 a.m. to get the main event. So UK fans, I'm sure, will be happy with that. Oh, by the way, it's for the interim WBC lightweight world title. All the best to Luke Campbell. He's been on the show once before. I think it was last Christmas kind of time. So yeah, all the best to him. Also on the undercard we have Rene Alvarado, 32-8. He defends his WBA super featherweight world title against Roger Gutierrez, who's 24-3 with a draw. We've also got Felix Alvarado, 35-2, defending his IBF light flyweight world title against DJ Criel, who's 16-1 with a draw. Anyway, that's it for the review and preview parts. We're going to go on to the award stuff in a very, very short while. I just want to quickly come in now with the news. We've got some bad news because January the 30th is shaping up to be a great night of boxing all over the world. But one card that was set to take place in Russia has fallen through, and it's the second or third time this fight has been pushed back now. Artur Beterbiev is out of his world title showdown with COVID-19. He was set to take on Adam Daines. The problem is it was supposed to take place, I believe, in about October of 2020. I don't know if I want to say this year, because it might confuse some people that don't listen to the pod till a couple of days after it's out. But he was supposed to fight in October against Adam Daines, and I think he had to pull out with some kind of muscle injury. So, yeah, I feel for both guys in that one. But moving on to the awards now, and this is something I've been looking forward to. We're going to start here. I'm going to let you choose where we start, Eddie. Shall we start with Fighter of the Year, KO of the Year, Fight of the Year, Prospect of the Year, British Fighter of the Year, Upset of the Year, or Young Fighter under 25 of the Year?
Let's start where everybody. Let's start where everybody pretty much would love to want to start, and because this is the biggest sport of boxing in most people's mind, and I think skill is the biggest part, the most important part. Most people want to see the big power. So let's just start with knockouts.
Okay. Starting with knockouts. So I've had a few sent in, and I've of course got my own list, which we will go through. These were quite a few sent in here from trainer John Tandy, a good friend of the show. He sent in quite a few actually, which I'm really pleased with. He says Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian White. Obviously that's on everyone's list. He says Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. He says Naoya Inoue against Jason Maloney, Roman Gonzalez against Cal Yafai, and Charles Martin against Gerald Washington. I don't remember that being a KO.
Yeah, he did. He stopped him. But I would. Yeah, he did. Charles Martin.
I had Gerald on the show, I think, the week of that fight. Anyway, go on.
Oh,
yeah, maybe he did.
Oh yeah, no, he stopped.
Okay.
He stopped him, but it was a pretty decent knockout. But I don't know if it was. Maybe I guess it's just like one of those things where, it's real heavy at the top, real good at the top, but then as you start to dwindle down the list, you can't really think of many more. So that probably was one of the ones that stuck out, even though it wasn't that live. Even though I think the knockout was pretty good because he was catching with some heavy shots.
He wasn't down and out though, was he?
I don't know if he was down and out or if the ref just stepped in and just waved it off. Yeah, he went down a few times though.
Yeah, okay. I can't remember that fight too clearly, but anyway, thanks for those, John, and that's you've sent in about 5 or 6, so I'm really pleased with that. This one's from Ricey SUFC, one of our most loyalist listeners out there. He says Povetkin against White, obviously a very popular one. This one was sent in from Tuba TJ. He says Povetkin over White, perfect punch. This one was sent in from Rachel Two Lives on Twitter. She says Tank's KO of Santa Cruz had me repeatedly going, oh my god, oh my god. This one comes in from Luigi Pelosi, another guy that that listens to the show a lot. And Luigi, by the way, I don't want to say I did the Nigel Benn interview entirely for you, but I know that you're a big Nigel Benn fan, or at least I thought you were. So I had you in mind when I was doing that interview, my friend, and I had to keep it quiet. But anyway, he says, Joey, fighter of the year. Oh no, we're not on to that yet. KO of the year, Gervonta Davis against Leo Santa Cruz. Yeah, so they're the KOs that have been sent in, and I've got my own little list. Alida Alvarez against Michael Sills. It was a brutal knockout.
Yeah. That was ugly.
We've got Baranchik against Zepeda. I don't know if you've seen that fight, Eddie, but definitely.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, man.
I don't think I've seen that.
Okay. And Povetkin versus White. But my winner that stands above is Gervonta Davis against Santa Cruz. I still don't know what Santa Cruz thought he was doing, standing right in front of him, squared up on the ropes, and he tried the same kind of slow, pouring right hand 3 times in a row. And obviously, Tank, I think he got hit with the first one, blocked the second one, and then countered the third one. Good night. And it was a perfectly timed shot. And it was one of those shots where you're like, whoa, is he alive? It was brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah. 100%. Like it was, and you know what? It was a lot of skill involved, and that's why it turned out to be as brutal as it was. Because think of a guy who's a southpaw, who stepped over to his left in an orthodox stance to throw the strong hand as an uppercut. You understand what I'm saying? It just sounds like when you say it out loud, it's like, damn, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Going from your comfortable position, which is a southpaw, step into another position, into another stance, bend toward that knee, rip an uppercut right under the elbow, right up to the chin. It's like, I mean, it's like it's a lot going on with that. But I mean, and like I said, the skill aspect of it, it's almost similar to like how the Povetkin White thing was. Oh, he didn't switch stances. But it was just perfect, right up under the right hand that he threw, the lazy right hand, and ripped it right up to the middle, which is like, it's perfect. Like, it's funny how they both threw the same shot and got the knockout. It's just one guy was actually orthodox, the other one was southpaw. I didn't even think about that before, but now it just made me realize, like, damn, it was the exact same thing on both accounts. Wow.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, the best KO of the year, I think, definitely. Anyway, moving on now, I want to go to the fight of the year. I'm gonna start here with, this one was again from Luigi Pelosi. He says, fight of the year, Baranchik Zepeda. Rachel Two Lives, she says, haven't seen the Baranchik Zepeda fight yet, so I'm going to go for Dubois versus Joe Joyce. It wasn't an absolute thriller, but the importance of the fight in world terms and the seesaw nature of the battle had me on the edge of my seat throughout. Tuba TJ says, Lomachenko versus Lopez. Amazing that the fight got made. Amazing that it wasn't pay-per-view, at least in the US. It wasn't pay-per-view over here either. No, it wasn't. It was on... I'm sure it was on normal TV. Anyway, both champions left believing they had done enough to win. I would have preferred a Lomachenko win, but glad they made it during the pandemic. Interesting there. Yeah. Wonder why he wanted Lomachenko to win. Anyway, Zepeda versus... Go on.
Was he saying that he thought Lomachenko won, or was he saying that he would have...
He said he would have preferred a Lomachenko win, so I'm not sure. Ricey, he says Zepeda versus Baranchik. John Tandy sends in another barrage of fights here. We're going to go over these. Terry Harper versus Natasha Jonas. Okay, a female fight. It was a great one. Very, very close fight. Jamal Charlo versus Sergei Derevianchenko. I like that one. I really like that one. That's one that didn't spring to mind. Sorry, Eddie, go on.
No, I didn't even see that one. And I missed, you know what? Because I seen the younger Charlo fight, obviously, fight Banana. Yeah. And I missed that one. And I didn't realize it was that good of a fight, to be honest. I didn't even think about that. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that was pretty good. Sam Egginton versus Ted Cheeseman. That's one of the best fights of the year for sure. Again, Zepeda versus Baranchik. And Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2. I know that Eddie certainly enjoyed watching that one, as we all
Definitely.
did. But
the fight itself,
go on.
the fight itself was good, but it was one-sided. It was good. It's good.
And again, my fights of the year, I've just listed 3, and they've all been mentioned. So our listeners, in my opinion, really know their stuff. I've said Eggington Cheeseman, that was definitely a good one. Again, a really close fight that could have gone either way. Fury Wilder 2, just the way Tyson dealt with Deontay and just, he turned into a wrecking ball. We've never really seen him do that with anyone, let alone a guy of the danger of Wilder. And then pretty much everyone said the same answer here. Baranchik Zepeda. Eddie, it's a fight that I watched and just couldn't believe, and I need you to watch that fight at some point in the next few days or whatever, because it's just, one guy knocks another guy down, he's completely out on his feet, then he knocks the other guy down, then that guy's out on his feet, then he gets back up and knocks the other guy down. It was unbelievable, and then it ends with a brutal knockout to finish it. But I think there was about 5 or 6 knockdowns. It was unbelievable. You
gotta send me the
definitely.
reminder, because a lot of times I'll be sitting around, sometimes working, and I've I'll just be I'll be on a break or something, and I'll be watching different stuff, like I'll be eating, and then I'm like, what could I be watching right now that would take my mind into, and that's obviously something that I could be watching. Like I seen, because that's exactly what happened when I watched I didn't watch the whole thing, but Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois. That's exactly what happened. So I basically watched the majority of that, and I didn't see the ending. I didn't see past I think the 7th or 8th round. So, but yeah, this time I will be watching that entire fight, obviously.
Yeah, and you will thank me afterwards because it's fantastic. Moving on now to fighter. In fact, no, we're gonna go to British Fighter of the Year. Now, what I didn't really specify is the fact that when I'm talking about British Fighter of the Year, I kind of mean, guys that are not at the very top of the sport. So what I'm saying here is Tyson Fury, you'd say, could be the best British Fighter of the Year, but because he's, the best heavyweight in the world, he kind of surpasses that if you know what I'm saying, just like Teofimo Lopez could be the young fighter of the year, but because he's too good to be in that, he's in his own kind of thing, so that's what I'm getting at here. But some people obviously didn't understand that. I didn't make it clear, so I apologize for that. But John Tandy sends in Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, I don't think he's put this in any kind of order, Josh Taylor, James Tennyson, Conor Benn. Do you know what, John? I'm gonna pick at that list a little bit, if you don't mind. Tyson Fury, fantastic win, obviously, unbelievable. I completely understand why you'd say that. Anthony Joshua, I mean, I'm not hating. He took him out with a good shot, but I completely predicted the way the fight would go. I wasn't blown away by anything he did. It was okay. He obviously had the one fight in 2020. Josh Taylor, that fight against that guy that he hit with the body shot, and the guy was, in all sorts of pain. Apinan Kongsong, the undefeated guy from A Magician's Hat, to be honest. No one knew who he was. I couldn't say that was, that he was one of the best British fighters of the year. Conor Benn, I like. Firstly, I like the Benn family right now from last week's interview with Nigel. But Conor Benn, he only had the one fight this year, and he looked really good against that guy that went the distance with Sean Porter, whose name has currently evaded me. But he only had the one fight. It was a good win. That's more. This is kind of what I'm getting at here. British Fighter of the Year. These are the kind of guys I'm looking at to win that award. And James Tennyson, I think that's the probably best. That's the best answer I'm really looking for out of the bunch. James Tennyson has had a good 2020. I think he's had 2 wins maybe this year, I believe. Off the top of my head, could be wrong. Might have just been 1, but I like what he's doing. That's the kind of level I'm searching for here. British kind of level, maybe a little bit up, but not like the world rulers like Josh Taylor. It doesn't matter what he does, he can't be, in my opinion. It's for the guys that don't really get a mention, this award. Moving over now, Ricey. not the greatest year for British fighters, but I think Fury's emphatic performance against Wilder makes him worth the British Fighter of the Year nomination. Absolutely. Rachel Two Lives, Tyson Fury for shocking the world with the most aggressive performance of his career to put himself right at the top of the boxing tree. So yeah, I'm going to go over to what I thought here. And in a few days, I'm going to like announce on Twitter who number 1, 2, and 3 are. I know who number 1 is for all these awards, like I say. Best KO of the year, Gervonta Davis. Best fight of the year, Baranchik Zepeda. The best British fighter of the year for me, I will say, but number 2 and number 3, I'm still it's gonna take me a couple of days to think. But here are my nominations anyway. I've got 4 guys. Jazza Dickens, 2 wins this year for him, both on points in the Golden Contract Tournament, and for me, he was the underdog in both of those fights. A win, of course, over Lee Wood, and then a win over Ryan Walsh. Again, both upset wins for me, and then he wins the Golden Contract Tournament. He's had such a turnaround. I wouldn't say he's massively improved, but he's finally getting a bit of luck. So I like his year. He's had a great year, Jazza Dickens. No one mentioned him as well, but I can understand why, because a lot of people said Tyson Fury. They didn't think of anyone else, and I can understand that because I didn't make it too clear, the criteria. Maxie Hughes, another one. He beat John O'Carroll, who for me is a world-level fighter, and it was a huge upset. His only loss, of course, John O'Carroll, was to Tevin Farmer in a world title fight. Maxie Hughes upset him. Then he went out to Dubai and beat on points the undefeated Viktor Kotojigov, who is still kind of yet to prove himself in the pro ranks, but he was upset. So Maxie Hughes caused 2 upsets in fights where he was a huge underdog. So that's a brilliant British Fighter of the Year. Denzel Bentley, for me, he got a win early on in the year. He then had the controversial draw with Mark Heffron. Then they had the rematch and the British title was on the line, and he managed to stop Mark Heffron, and he remains undefeated, and he is, for me, a deserved British champion. But for me, the British Fighter of the Year, again, I hope people understand my criteria, because this guy who I'm going to say, he is a fringe world level guy, but he's not at the top of his sport. And some people would say he's not fringe world level yet because he hasn't really beaten anyone, I don't think, on the European level. It's quite confusing. I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not sure if I'm getting the point across good. But for me, British Fighter of the Year, Joe Joyce. Obviously a win against Michael Wallish, just as expected, really. And he didn't look amazing at all times in that fight. But the job he did on Daniel Dubois in a very exciting fight, like Rachel Two Lives said, it was edge of the seat kind of stuff, and he was brilliant. He looked in control the entire time. He was a big underdog. So for me, Joe Joyce, he's my British Fighter of the Year. Right, that's that category done. I'm going to let you choose the next one, Eddie, and we have left Prospect of the Year, Upset of the Year, Young Fighter Under 25 of the Year, and Fighter of the Year.
Let's do Upset of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm interested in seeing what that one is.
Okay. This is a category I'm really looking forward to here. So, and the guy that I've given it to, the fight I've given it to, is one that I don't think anyone's really saying, and I'll explain my reasons behind it. But anyway, John Tandy sends in another great list. Dillian White against Alexander Povetkin. Not going to spend too much time on that, but I don't. You know what, Eddie? It was an upset, but it was. You can't sort of. You can't say to yourself, honestly, that before that fight, there's no way in the world that Povetkin's going to knock him out. Povetkin's a proven guy, proven in more ways than Dillian White had been, if we're honest.
How about this? It would have been a humongous upset to see Chisora beat Usyk. Now, that would have been a tremendous upset. But Povetkin beating White, not so much. Most people thought White would win, but not like it's impossible for Povetkin to beat him. Just like you said. You're saying everything right, so I'm just agreeing. So go ahead.
Yeah. Dillian Whyte against Alexander Povetkin. It was definitely an upset. I mean, I actually predicted it'd go to points and it'd be a close fight, so that's incredibly embarrassing. But anyway, but yeah, it is an upset. John O'Carroll against Maxie Hughes. Again, we mentioned that on the British Fighter of the Year. It was a huge upset. Brilliant one there, John. He's named the one that I was going to choose as my winner. Oh my God. I'm not going to say it now. I'm going to skip it and come back to it. He says Jessica McCaskill against Cecilia Brackhouse. It was a big upset. It really was. I'm pleased for not for Cecilia. She lost the fight. I'm pleased for Jessica McCaskill, who, of course, was homeless, living on the streets, and then became an undisputed welterweight world champion, despite not really even being a welterweight. I think she moved up in weight for that fight. So it is such a brilliant story, and she's a really lovely lady as well. So I'm so pleased for her. She's had a phenomenal year. There's been people saying that I should have done a female fighter of the year for 2020, which I didn't do, unfortunately, but she'd have been right up there with a mention. But it was a brilliant, it was a very close fight. A lot of people actually felt that she didn't deserve the decision, but she got it on the cards. That is all that matters. He also says, and this is a big one, Eddie, I think we were both watching this one. I might have been out there with you. I think I was watching this in the hotel. You were watching it at yours. Jason Rosario, Julian Williams, huge upset.
Oh yeah, that was, and it was like wow. But you know what? It's like when the fight started, and I seen Julian catch him with a good right hand, but the guy kind of dealt with it real well. It just seemed like he was the more sturdy guy in there. Like he was more steady on his feet than Julian was, because Julian landed a great shot in that first round, and he came back. And then I saw, not only did he come back, but he started throwing heavy shots, and it looked like his shots really bothered Julian. And I was like, damn. And this was only in the end of the first round going into the second round. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? It just doesn't look good. As a fighter, you start to kind of see the guy, especially if you're a guy you're supporting, start to drop off, to have a drop off. And you know what I mean? At first he seemed more like he was spry. He was throwing shots with conviction. He was throwing, the speed was nice. Everything was good. I'm not saying that all came down, but it came down just enough for me to see damn, this dude is bothering me. And then the guy wasn't he was, like I said, he's a sturdy guy. He had a lot of toughness. He was just going to keep coming. That's why I was surprised how Charlo stopped him, because he looked so he just looked strong and determined. You know what I'm saying? When he fought Julian, and man, I saw it coming, honestly. But I mean, I'm not gonna say that I thought he was gonna do that before the fight, but I definitely saw it coming as the fight wore on.
Yep, and moving over now to a nomination sent in from Andrew Fleming. He says it's got to be Teofimo Lopez over Lomachenko. It's an upset. It is definitely. It's a good call. This one comes in from Colin at London_Skylines. He says boxer Maxie Hughes. I don't think he specifies which fight it was, but he is probably talking about the two upsets he pulled off that I mentioned, in the British Fighter of the Year segment, against the guy in Dubai and against John O'Carroll. He says, I've loved every minute of his Indian summer. He also says Joe Smith Jr. He smacked up Alvarez and was fun, but maybe not a huge upset. I thought that was a huge upset.
I thought it was a big upset, that too.
Yeah, and he
also... I did not expect him...
Sorry, Eddie, go on.
No, I was saying I didn't expect him to win that.
Yeah, and he also says, I fancied Arthur, Povetkin, Bolotniks and Joyce myself. So he didn't consider those upsets. That's interesting. I wonder if he put his money where his mouth is, because he'd have won some dollars there. He says Maxie scalping John O'Carroll was one for the books, especially as Maxie's had a couple of bleep decisions. Okay. Ricey says Cheafon Moonsri losing his 55th fight and his undefeated streak.
Yeah, that sucks, man. Oh, that hurt.
Oh God,
Oh.
I just can't believe it. I'm never going to mention that guy again. It's sad. I hope he can. Even if he lost, I think it was a close fight, by the way, from what I've heard. But I hope he can petition it, turn it into a no contest, and then just retire.
Yo,
imagine that.
Honestly, to lose though, it's just like, man, you did all that work,
So
all that
sad.
time. And, it's sad.
So sad.
It really is.
Tuba TJ says, I absolutely did not expect to see Cecilia Brackhouse lose this year, so he's nominating Jessica McCaskill. Luigi Pelosi says, who does he say? Again, because he sent them all in one thing. What are we on again? This is Upset of the Year. Upset of the Year. He didn't send me in that one either, Luigi. Bad man. Anyway, moving on to my upsets. Obviously Maxi Hughes against John O'Carroll. Maxi Hughes against Viktor Kotojigov in Dubai. Rosario against J-Rock in Philadelphia. White against Povetkin, obviously, even though I think it wasn't a huge upset because I wouldn't have been overly shocked if someone would have told me before the fight. Michael Hunter, for example, he was picking Povetkin all the way. But considering the way the fight went, when Povetkin was down twice in the prior round, it was kind of shocking. And like I said, I thought it was going to go to points, so I looked like a complete... idiot there. TJ, no, it's all right. You don't need to defend me, Eddie. It's fine. TJ Doheny. This is a huge one. He was the IBF World Champion last year. He only lost his title on points in a unification against Daniel Roman. And this year, he had a fight against the guy who was 12-2 called Iron Up Baluta, and he lost. That was mega, because this guy, no one had ever heard of this guy. TJ Doheny was a world champion, for Christ's sake. He only lost the title in a unification fight. And to get upset like that was unbelievable. But the guy also went on to cause another big upset against David Oliver Joyce. So maybe he was a secret, like a hidden gem. But for me, this is my upset of the year. And the reason I say it is because for me it was the most shocking. It's not for any titles. It's not, you might think it's a bad choice. But me making the choice, I'm going with this. Just simply because before the fight, I never gave the guy that won a chance. And during the fight, he was getting beaten up and he landed a punch. And that punch that he landed turned the entire fight. So for me, my upset of the year, Eddie, Robert Helenius knocking out Kaunaki. Wow.
All right. I forgot about,
I knew you forgot about that.
I forgot all about that, but that was a huge upset in my opinion too. And it was like, you're watching a fight right now, and of course Kanaki's dominating the fight, right? And I'm expecting to see him win, you know what I mean? Eventually probably stop Helenius or whatever. But then for me, it was just like, he's so right there. And I feel like if Helenius can land a decent shot, he might get some respect, maybe even hurt him. No, not 2 to 3 minutes, not even a whole round after I said that, boom, he did it. And I'm like, yo, am I a prophet? But it was just a surprise. But at the same time, I could see it happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen Kaunaki fight so many times now. Obviously so many times, but, enough times now. And, he has a, in-your-face style, kind of like Chris Arreola when he was in his prime. Comes and throws punches and bunches and punches with pretty decent power and just real aggressive. But his head is right there to be hit. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking that he's going to end up in the same boat as Chris Arreola did. You know what I mean? Chris Arreola, I think, is a little bit tougher, take a little better shot than he did. But at the same time, I still think, he's going to end up in that kind of situation. Like, he'll be that guy. And, look, he's similar in size. He has probably a little bit better boxing ability maybe than Chris Arreola did at the time. I don't know. But, maybe Chris is a little tougher. So, it's just hard to see where he's going to go from here now that kind of thing happens. It's almost like he's exposed or the book is out on him. All you got to do is this. But trust me, that shot came out of nowhere. So I think maybe 9 out of 10 times he beats Robert Helenius, but it just so happens it's that 10th time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, John Tandy sent that one in as well. So, yeah.
That was a good one. That was a great
good one. That is my winner. Moving on now to Prospect of the Year. John Tandy sends in another good list here. He says Shakur Stevenson. I'm trying to think of...
Is he a prospect still?
No, I don't think he is. I'm going to delete him out of there. Yeah, good call. Filip Hrgovic, he sends him in. He's had 2 fights this year. A second round knockout of Alexander Kartozia, who I am not too sure who that is. I know that he lost to Ricardo Snyders, by the way, who, of course, Daniel Dubois bombed out in 2 rounds. So, yeah, I don't think he's too good. But his other win came in 5 rounds against Rydell Booker. So, yeah, that's, that was quite impressive, I guess, because Booker had never been stopped. But that's Hrgovic. He also says Tony Yoka. Now, I'm not really getting down with that one too much. Tony Yoka this year, actually, I take that back slightly. He scored a first-round knockout over Johan Duapas, which was quite impressive, really, considering that Big Baby Miller went the distance with him. Povetkin took him out in 6. Deontay Wilder took him out in 11, and he did it in 1.
Yeah.
But his other fight kind of undid his great win, because he took on Christian Hammer and went the distance. He completely shut him out, but it would have been nice to see him stop him like Fury did, like a couple of other guys did. Who else stopped? Who else stopped Hammer? I know he went the distance with Povetkin and Ortiz. Anyway, moving on. Thank you for that one. Oh, no, he's not done yet. Jaron Ennis. Definitely a big shout for him. 3 fights this year. I was present at one of them back in January. 3 fights this year. 2 KOs against guys who'd never been stopped before. 1 no contest the other week in a fight that he was looking good in until the horrific cut happened for Chris Van Heerden. So yeah, he has had a great year. Ennis. And the other one that John Tandy says, Tim Tszyu. Oh man, Tim Tszyu, obviously the son of legend Kostya Tszyu. He's had a great year. He became the second. Oh no, he's been stopped in every loss, hasn't he? He became the quickest man to stop Jeff Horn. He got him out in 8 rounds. That's quicker than Crawford. And of course, he's a tough guy, Jeff Horn. So that was a big win there. And he was down in the 3rd round as well, twice, I believe, in that fight. And other than that, he knocked out one guy in 1 round called Bowen Morgan, who is from New Zealand. Not quite sure on his credentials, to be honest, off the top of my head. But he is definitely one to watch, man. I'm so excited about the development of him. Ricey_SUFC says Edgar Berlanga. I'm going to get to that, definitely. Tuba TJ says, I leave... This is a very strange one, actually, but I like that. That is what I'm into. He says, I leave 2020 wanting to see more of Mykal Polite Coffee. I'd like to see if he has the time to do something big. He was supposed to take on Joey Abel, but Joey Abel got injured just as it was getting interesting. That was in his last fight in November. He had 3 fights and 3 KOs. Joey Abel, Luis Pina, who was 6-0 undefeated, and a guy with a losing record called Carlos Sandoval. 34 years of age, Mykal Polite Coffee, 11-0 with 8 KOs. Okay, interesting one there from Tuba. Michael Van Sant, he says, Edgar Berlanga as well. Rachel Two Lives says, a slow burner, but I still have hopes for Daniil Yelusinov, the 2016 Olympic gold medalist. So do I. He's coming off a brilliant win there against former unified world champion Julius Indongo. That was quite exciting. I think he had another fight earlier on in the year. Can't remember who it was against, but thank you for that one, Rachel. Okay, that's it for Prospect of the Year from the people that have sent them in on Twitter. Thank you all for that. I'm going to get to mine now, though. There's a few guys to mention. I'm going to mention 5 guys here. Jaron Ennis, definitely one. I've already spoke about him. Chris Colbert, he's had a great year. He picked up an interim world title. Charles Conwell, 3 stoppage wins in 2020, 2 against undefeated fighters. Sebastian Fundora, the 6'6" welterweight, 3 fights, 3 wins. He stopped former world title challenger Habib Ahmed quicker than Gilberto Ramirez did in that world title fight, and he became the first man to stop Nathaniel Gallimore. And he also took the O of the undefeated Australian Daniel Lewis. He's had a brilliant year, very exciting, very likeable guy, quite charismatic. Sebastian Fundora, 6'6" welterweight. But the winner for me, Edgar Berlanga, 16 KOs in the first round. He's breaking records, he's breaking chins. 3 KOs this year, of course, all in the first round. As you can see, some of the other guys I've mentioned have got similar 2020s to him. You know, they've got 3 KOs, stuff like that. But the fact he keeps doing it in the first round, you know, the excitement that he brings, the pressure he's got on his shoulders, and the anticipation for every time he steps in the ring. Can this guy get out of the first round? No, is the answer every time out of 16. He's on the verge of breaking a world record, and he is, for me, the most exciting prospect in world boxing, even though I'm dying to see him stepped up. Let's now get on to Young Fighter of the Year. John Tandy sends in... Oh, he sent in a few here. I'm going to go through these really quickly, actually. Jaime Munguia. Okay. So these have got to be under 25. Jaime Munguia under 25. David Benavidez. Okay. Ryan Garcia. Virgil Ortiz, which we really like him, and Teofimo Lopez, of course. Andrew Fleming says Boots, so we know he's talking about Jaron Ennis. Yeah. Tuba TJ says, got to be Teofimo if he's not taking any other categories. Yes, he is. We will get to that. Michael Van Sant says, Young Fighter of the Year, got to be Lopez. Yeah. And Rachel Two Live, she says Teofimo Lopez as well. Luigi Pelosi says he's given me Fighter of the Year, which is Teofimo. I'm sure he would have given Young Fighter of the Year to him as well. My Young Fighter of the Year, I'm not going to include Teofimo Lopez because I'm giving him Fighter of the Year. So that's a little spoiler there. You could easily give him Young Fighter of the Year, but for me, you know, he'd win that, so I'm putting him in the big boy league with everyone eligible, and he's won that one already. But for me, the best fighter under 25 this year goes to Emmanuel Navarrete, and I say that because this will be the last time I'll be able to mention him in this under 25 category. He'll be 26 next year, but this year, 3 fights, 3 wins, 2 by stoppage. He made his final defense of his super bantamweight world title in February. He then moved up to featherweight and picked up the vacant WBO world title in that weight there when he took the O away from the undefeated Ruben Villa, who there was just huge talk about him being just a brilliant fighter. So to beat him was quite impressive. He is one of the few guys who's been a 2-weight world champion during 2020. When you really think about it, there's not many. I can only think of Gervonta Davis, where that happened for him as well. And that was a bit strange, the way they had 2 weight class world titles on the line. But anyway, number 2, it is quite people might not understand, but I'm giving it to Jason Rosario. He came out of nowhere. He knocked out Julian Williams. Yeah, he did get knocked out by Jamel Charlo, but arguably Jamel Charlo is probably the best in the world at that weight, and the fight was a very close fight on all the cards at the point of the stoppage. So for me, breakout fighter for this year, and definitely one of the best young fighters. He's established himself a world level fighter, and he's made his mark on 2020 in a big way. And in third place, I'm giving it to Joshua Franco. A win in January, then he gets put in at late notice to take on the undefeated Andrew Maloney for the world title. It was the first world title fight in the world during the lockdown. So he steps in at late notice. He wins the fight. He deserves to win the fight. Then they have the rematch. It obviously ended in serious controversy when they took about 30 minutes to still get the decision wrong. But he's had a great year, and he remains champion despite what we all think. So yeah, he definitely has had an unbelievable year. Some would say the luckiest man in boxing. and you couldn't really argue with that. Let's move now to Fighter of the Year. I'm going to keep it really quick here. Obviously, during 2020, a lot of the top fighters haven't really had the chance to display everything. Some of them haven't even had a fight all year. A lot of them have only fought once. I usually like to give this to a fighter that is quite active. A guy that's had 2 or 3 wins at the top level in a single year. No one has really managed to do that at the top level with the huge pandemic going on, but I do want to give a massive shout out to one guy that springs to mind. He got a win over Jesse Hart, who for me is a genuine world level fighter. Then he went on to become the first man to knock out Alida Alvarez, something Sergei Kovalev couldn't manage in 2 fights against Alvarez. Someone mentioned that fight earlier as well. I'm speaking of course, Joe Smith Jr. Not that I think he's Fighter of the Year, but a big mention to him. He's got a world title shot in February in a short period of time now, so I'm really excited for that for him. He's had a great 2020, but of course, there's a lot of guys that have had decent years, but a big shout out to him, and of course the winner, Teofimo Lopez. He won the world title in December 2019. That's obviously before 2020 started, but his very next fight was the unification, or the undisputed fight, whatever you want to call it, with arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Lomachenko. He's only 23 years of age, and he only needed 1 fight in the calendar year of 2020 for me to win that award. I really... Sorry, did you want to say something, Eddie?
No, I actually like that pick. I mean, I don't know if he would be the guy necessarily. You know what I mean? This is Fighter of the Year, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if I would have thought to pick him, even though, I do agree with the fight that he won. In fact, in the fact that he only needed 1 fight to get to that point, and actually took the fight and won the fight. Regardless of what most people think, regardless of that, you know what I mean? Even though the fight was really close and this, that, none of that matters. It's the fact that he won the fight. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you make a very, very, very good point in him getting that distinction. But obviously Fury and Wilder has to be on that list too, because I mean, even though. I'm sorry, not Wilder, but Tyson beating Wilder puts him in that conversation, I would imagine too. But maybe you're right though. Maybe you're right. He does edge it, and in that, I think you might be. I think I might have done that too. I mean, I don't know for sure. I can't really 100% say. I mean, I would have to look it over and kind of mull over it a little more. But that's definitely a good pick.
And Tuba TJ says, can we give it to Tyson Fury based on only 1 fight? It was a heck of a performance to go in and bully the bully. So he nominates Tyson Fury. Luigi Pelosi says Teofimo Lopez without a doubt. Phil Rogers 81 says Teofimo Lopez without question. Michael Van Sant says Teofimo Lopez. Silver Bandit _ says Teofimo Lopez. Gavin Stevens says it's between Teofimo Lopez, Tyson Fury and Kosi Tanaka if he should beat Ioka. By the time this podcast goes out, that fight would have took place, so I'm not too sure who's going to win that just yet. John Tandy says Fighter of the Year. He's given me a few nominations. Katie Taylor, not eligible I think because we're going to do men's boxing at the minute. Josh Taylor, very interesting. Again, I can't put him in there, John. I mean, you're the trainer, I'm not, but I disagree. I can't put him in there for beating Apinan Kong Song. Sal Canelo Alvarez, he only had the 1 fight. It was against Callum Smith. Terence Crawford, if I'm not mistaken, I think he only had 1 fight. It was against Kell Brook. Tyson Fury, I can understand why you'd say that. That is the 5 that he has sent in. Ricey _ SUFC says, I'm biased and I know he's only had 1 fight this year, but a win against the pound-for-pound #1 makes him my Fighter of the Year, Teofimo Lopez. Michael Van Sant says, Fighter of the Year, Teofimo Lopez. Rachel Two Lives, Fighter of the Year has to be Teofimo Lopez. He completely shut down the consensus pound-for-pound leader and won with relative ease. I wouldn't agree with the last sentence. I don't think he won with relative ease. But yeah, we are.
That's the win is debatable in a lot of ways. I mean,
Yeah,
regardless of who you are and how you look at it. I mean, the fight definitely was close down the stretch, and could have went. Well, if one thing different happens, that fight changes completely. You know what I mean? Not necessarily on the judges' scorecards, but on most everybody else's scorecards around. So, I wouldn't say easy. Not even close to easy.
Okay, and now I'm going to move on to the pound for pound lists. We've had a few, I think 6 people send in lists of their pound for pound, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because this has gone on a bit longer than I thought it would have. Tuba TJ, here's my biased, casual at the lower weight classes, flawed pound for pound list after the weekend just gone. Okay. He says, hang on, that can't be right. That can't be right. He's got Lomachenko at number 1 still. No way. Okay. All right, I'm going to read it out. He's got his reasons. He's explained to me, and I'll get onto that. Number 1, Lomachenko. Number 2, Inoue. Number 3, Crawford. Number 4, Triple G. Number 5, Teofimo Lopez. Number 6, Errol Spence. Number 7, Usyk. Number 8, Canelo. Number 9, Manny Pacquiao. Number 10, Michael Hunter. Okay, let's get on to that. I do think Tyson Fury...
Pound for pound?
Yeah, pound for pound. And this... he's going to explain, so let's see this. I do think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight out there right now, but since he weighs literally 2 Lomachenkos, I chose not to include him. Usyk and Hunter are fighting at heavyweight, but could more be naturally at cruiserweight in brackets or bridgerweight. They give up weight and length at heavyweight. I kept Lomachenko at number 1 coming off a loss because he is up 2 to 3 weight classes from his body's set point, and Lopez is down at least 1 weight class from his. Also, he did injure his shoulder badly enough to have surgery immediately after the fight. I still see Loma as the most skilled fighter in the world, even if he's not number 1 at lightweight. Lopez didn't have any answers for Lomachenko in the second half of the fight. He's right about that, and was getting tagged pretty regularly. I thought Lomachenko did enough for the draw or the narrowest of wins. Okay, now I can understand where he's going with his number 1 pick. I still put Triple G above Canelo, as I think he is at worst 1-1 against him. I think he's put 1-0 and 1, so I think a win and a draw. Possibly 2-0. I do worry about the trilogy as Triple G gets older. I think Canelo tried to wait for him to age out of the first fight, so it was even more impressive from Triple G to win in most people's eyes. I openly admit to being biased. I'm a fan of Loma, Hunter and Triple G, and I just don't particularly like Canelo after the Adelaide Bird card. I'm guessing Adelaide Bird card, or maybe he's thinking about the was it who gave the close card against Mayweather? That wasn't Bird, was it? That was wasn't that CJ Ross?
That was I think he was talking about with Triple G.
Ah, okay, yeah. Of course he is. My apologies. Because I think was it CJ Ross gave that fight a draw.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I just don't particularly like Canelo after that, and the drug test failure tainting the Triple G fights. That's his reasons. Boy, I mean,
gotta respect it.
Each person's entitled to their own opinion. Michael Van Sant says, here is my pound for pound list. Canelo, assuming he beats Smith, so he sent this in just before. Number 2, Anoya Inoue. Number 3, Terence Crawford. Number 4, Errol Spence. Number 5, Usyk. Number 6, Teofimo Lopez. 7, Triple G. 8, Tyson Fury. 9, Juan Francisco Estrada. 10, Josh Taylor. That's an interesting list. I like Canelo's positioning. I like Inoue and Crawford. I've always said, and I'm really not popular for saying it, but Errol Spence in my top 10. I'm not sure. Usyk, yes. Teofimo Lopez, he's broke in there, number 6. Triple G, number 7. Yeah, I can't really think he's left anyone out. That's quite a good list. To put Tyson Fury in at number 8, some people wouldn't like. To put Josh Taylor in at number 10, some people wouldn't like. But that's a good list. I like that. John Tandy, this would be interesting. Pound for pound list. Canelo number 1, number 2 Crawford, number 3 Inoue, number 4 Josh Taylor. That's now I know why he's nominated him for every other award. Josh Taylor number 4, number 5 Teofimo Lopez, number 6 Lomachenko, number 7 Jamal Charlo. I like that. Number 8 Errol Spence, number 9 Triple G, number 10 Tyson Fury. That's a good list. I like that list. There's only 1 or 2 things I'm not sure on.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like everyone's placements there. Ricey sends in his one. Number 1 Canelo, number 2 Crawford, number 3 Inoue, number 4 Usyk, number 5 Navarrete. Okay. Number 6 Lomachenko, number 7 Teofimo Lopez, number 8 Josh Taylor. Wow, I'm surprised that a lot of people have Josh Taylor in the top 10. Number 9, Golovkin. Number 10, Tyson Fury. Getting on to my list, and I am open for criticism for it. My list is, I've now got Canelo at number 1. I've got Crawford at number 2. I've got Inoue number 3. Golovkin number 4. Usyk number 5. Lomachenko number 6. Very controversial number 7 with Mikey Garcia. I've got a soft spot for Mikey Garcia. I know that people are going to say I don't know what I'm talking about, but he's another guy.
I would say that.
No, but Eddie, he's another guy. Like someone said, I think it was Tuba TJ. Lomachenko's still number 1 because his only loss came, well, not his only loss. He lost to Salido, but his loss in recent years since he's become everyone's pound for pound number 1. His loss was at a weight probably 2 weights above his best weight class. And that's what I can say for Mikey. His only loss came to Spence. Yeah. He's no way in the world a welterweight. And Spence is a damn super middleweight. So that's it.
And I agree with you on that. But when Lomachenko's fight with Teofimo Lopez was close. That's the only difference. Now, I'm not nitpicking. I agree that he definitely shouldn't have fought Spence. That was a mistake, him going that far, because he didn't really need to do that, and he probably could have done real well at 140 if he just stayed and competed there or fought some other guys. But he had to go to the mountaintop right away, and that was a mistake. But he could be. He very well could be, because he was definitely looking real tough. So.
And my pound for pound list took a bit of a mysterious kind of taste, I guess, towards the end. Like I said, Mikey at number 7. Number 8, Teofimo Lopez. I've got him crashing the top 10 now. I'm not going to give him top 3 or anything like that just yet. Number 9, I've put Jamal Charlo in. And number 10, quite stupidly, I was saying that I can't believe that so many people have got Josh Taylor in the top 10. I've actually got Josh Taylor in number 10. I've got a couple of runners-up who are just outside of the list. Spence is closing in, I have to say. Gary Russell Jr., even though he doesn't fight enough. Oh my God, one of the best fighters in the world for sure. Gervonta Davis now, after he beat Leo Santa Cruz. Oh my God, he's closing in for sure. Even though this guy, not everyone likes to watch him fight, he has got skills that, well, I'm not sure if they pay the bills because I don't know how well he's doing financially, but Demetrius Andrade, I still think he's one of the best in the world. Billy Joe Saunders, I want to see, the winner of him and Andrade, if it were to happen finally. I'd definitely give them a spot in the top 10. This is going to be controversial here, man. Keith Thurman.
Yo, there's going to be controversy with this one.
Come on, Eddie, man. Come on.
There's going to be controversy. Well, because,
he lost to Manny Pacquiao. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean, listen, that is not necessarily a bad loss. Most people would say it's a bad loss because Manny Pacquiao is old, but he's not. He didn't perform like he was old. So you can't really, you know what I mean? You can't really say that. You know what I mean? Everybody's looking at the loss to Joe Holden. You know what I mean? And that's what they're basing this off of, and they're saying we lost a step. But, when you go in there with the attitude you're just going to beat somebody who's a legend like him, that's what happens. I'm not saying Keith Thurman doesn't deserve to be there, but he did lose to Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. And if you're going to have Keith Thurman in the conversation, Manny Pacquiao has to be in the conversation too. Styles make fights. I know that doesn't always, measure up, but the fact is he got a loss in recent time to him. So, those are all got to be a part of the list, man.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao should be, and I definitely put him in. I wrote this a couple of weeks ago. at 5:52 a.m. and I hadn't slept yet, so perhaps I was a bit tired. Gilberto Ramirez, I think he's 40-0 now, or 41-0. He's definitely up there. He has to be up there. And Tyson Fury as well, just outside of my top 10. So there's a few runners up there ready to crash in. That's it for that. The last thing we're going to do, Eddie, if you want to give your... If you want to, you don't have to. If you want to give like a top 5, if you want, or whatever, you can. The last thing to do, what I'm going to do in a minute, is just I ask for people to send in the fights they want to see in 2021. That is the final thing. We didn't get too many sent in because I put the tweet out quite late. But yeah, do you want to give a list or any kind of list at all, or not?
I can, as far as the top pound for pound, I'm going to say this as like I gotta say Canelo because of his accomplishments up to now, and even in his loss that he had to Floyd Mayweather. I mean, his opposition has been real high, and he's done a lot of different things, and he does it with class as far as skill. I'm talking about the skill. I don't know about outside the ring as much as inside the ring, but he's really classy in there, and he just beat a real good champion too. People not really thinking of Callum Smith as what he is. He's really a tough one. He's going to be something that's going to be somebody that's going to be around if this didn't destroy his confidence. So I got to give Canelo number 1. Crawford, the reason why I'm not saying NUA right now, or because I really haven't seen a lot of him. I only seen a few things he did, and I'm not gonna, I'm not saying he's not that guy, because he probably is. I've seen a few things, and he's got the whole package. You know what I mean? So he's really one of those guys. But I'm gonna say Crawford right now. Spence had a great win over Danny. You know what I mean? I liked how he basically didn't miss a beat, and he came back and beat one of the better welterweights in the last few years. So he's definitely in the conversation. But I'm still gonna go Canelo. Damn, I can't even remember what the hell I just said. Like, see, this is the boxer brain thing. Crawford, and I think who was I gonna put after that? I wanted to put. No, man. I don't want to start in the country. I guess if I put him in there, and the only reason why I would put him in there before like a Lomachenko is because he beat Lomachenko, and he did it. I'm not saying that I felt like Lomachenko wasn't what he was, and I'm not saying that he's old. I'm just saying that he had some issues. You know what I mean? He hadn't been in the ring in a while. So if I put him there, I will put him just right in front of Lomachenko, and then let me see.
So sorry, what is the list? What? Give me the order.
1 Canelo. 1 Canelo. 2 Crawford. God damn. I don't want to forget. 3 would be. Fuck is his name again? No, I haven't.
Okay,
the reason why
that's fine.
I would have put him there, but I haven't seen enough of him, so I don't really know. Like, I mean, I seen him do what he's doing, and please don't slap me for not, But what I'm saying is, he's great, and he probably is in that position, shit, maybe even higher. But I haven't seen enough of him, so I can't really speak on him as much,
Okay, so Canelo, Crawford,
so I'm saying, and then Lopez right now.
Number 3, okay.
And then I was going to put right after him Lomachenko. And the reason why I do that, similar to the same reason why the guy did the same thing and having Lomachenko in the list right after, or I don't know if it was right after or before.
He had him as number 1, but yeah.
Oh, he had Lomachenko as number 1?
Yeah,
oh, shit,
yeah.
That's kind of different than mine.
We love a bit of controversy.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And number 5. And I'm thinking now, because I'm trying to think of who else.
Would you have Triple G? Would you have Usyk? Would you have?
If I'm gonna have Usyk, I'm putting Tyson in front. Okay. Got to be in front.
All right. Well,
and the reason I'm not doing, and everybody's gonna say, "Oh, it's only because." No, it's because of where I feel like he would stand in history. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of people with the size and the athletic ability in the ring. I'm not saying he'd be a great basketball player. Maybe he would, but I don't know. But he's just able to do so many things, and he's got the ability to just change at a moment's notice. Like if you watch Floyd, and I'm not saying he is Floyd or he has the same similar style as Floyd. What I'm saying is Floyd can make adjustments on the fly because he can do so many different things. You understand what I'm saying? And I see the same capabilities with Tyson. And his resume is starting to get close to matching up to where he can be talked about in history. So, at this moment and what he's done to Wilder and where he's headed, I feel like he's got to be in that conversation. So, they got to put him there.
Number
and it's
5?
not because I know him. Because I only have a top 5.
Oh, okay. So no Triple G. No Triple G.
Well,
Come on, Eddie. We got to not go too long.
I know. All right, I'm gonna say this one. The only reason why Triple G's definitely in the conversation. He'd be like one of my honorable mentions, and shit, maybe he would be in front of Tyson. But it's just, even though I don't think he necessarily lost those fights like that, you know what I mean? I feel like the fights were close. The first one I thought probably he should have won with Canelo, but it's just recently having that tough fight he had with what's the kid, the one that the Charlotte
Derevyanchenko.
It just starting to look like he's starting to come down a little bit. Now, hey, look, it could be just like Pacquiao. He had a loss, he had a little hiccup and then he's back. But as I got to see it, so you know what I mean. Just give me time. But as it stands, that's me.
So who's number 5? So we've got Canelo, Crawford, Lopez, Lomachenko. Who?
I was going to put, because I only have 5, I'm going to put Tyson there.
Okay, so Tyson there, that's over Usyk, that's over Triple G, that's over Jamal Charlo, that's over Errol Spence, that's over...
Earl Spence, see how I was saying Earl Spence, he came back, he beat fucking Danny. And, I was initially going to say that, but I just want to see more. You know what I mean? He looked good though, so I kind of should just give him the spot like he should have it. He should be number 5.
Fury should be above Spence, man. That's my feel.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. You see, I initially was thinking Spence, but then I was like, how can I? Because where Tyson has, and this is why I'm saying it's kind of surprising me. I'm not hearing Tyson higher on the list is because of people were looking at Wilder like he was the next Mike Tyson type. You know what I mean? Like he had that kind of shit behind him. And then Tyson just wipes the floor with him like he's nothing, like he's not even there. And it's like, why aren't people really starting to say the same thing about him? Like, yo, he's really that guy. Now, don't get me wrong, there are guys saying it now, but they're not saying it quite like they should be. You understand what I'm saying? So that's my point.
Okay,
you
so Fury number 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's a good list. Canelo, Crawford, Lopez, Lomachenko, Fury. I like the list. But anyway, moving on now to...
top
Huh?
No, I was saying it's top heavy because it's only the top.
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
But the fights that we need to see in 2021, we only had a couple people send these in. Ricey says, Fury AJ, of course we need to see that. That is top of the list. Crawford Spence, we all want to see that. Teofimo Lopez versus the winner of Taylor versus Ramirez. I think Taylor versus Ramirez is another one we need to see. Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. Okay. Lomachenko versus Tank or Haney. Okay. Josh Buatsi against Callum Johnson. Yeah, I like that fight. Conor Benn against Josh Kelly. Josh Warrington against Navarrete. Oh, that's a good fight. Yep. Wilder against Dillian White. Yeah, I'd still sign up for that. Usyk against Joe Joyce. Yep. Inoue against Casimero. Baturbiev versus Bivol. Beautiful one to end.
Oh, yeah.
I
definitely.
love that.
Definitely.
And Rachel Tulive, she says Fury Joshua, Crawford Spence, Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields. I'd love to see that. And Katie Taylor against Chantel Cameron. That is a beautiful fight. And Golovkin against Jamal Charlo. Yes, I would take that. Peter McDonough as well, former professional boxer. He sent in a comedy list. He says he wants to see Fury Chisora 3, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White 2, and Dave Allen versus Tom Dallas 2.
Oh my gosh!
Anyway, moving on. The fights
definitely trolling.
Yeah, he's funny, man. And the fights I want to see, just gonna fly through these. There's not too many. I want to see Joshua Fury, Bivol Beterbiev. I want to see Caleb Plant against either Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders against one of those guys, or David Benavidez against one of those guys. I'll take any of them. They can do whatever they like amongst the four of them there. Plant, Smith, Saunders, and Benavidez. Andrade, I'd like to see Demetrius Andrade against Jamal Charlo, or any. They can do anything between the four of them again here. Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, Triple G, and Chris Eubank. I think Chris Eubank Jr. has a good chance against any of those guys with his style. Maybe not so much Jamal Charlo, but I like him against Andrade. I like him against Triple G. I'd like to see Jarrett Hurd against Jamel Charlo. Wouldn't mind seeing that still. Some people perhaps don't want to see it. I'd like to see Spence against Crawford. I'd like to see Pacquiao against either of them. I'd like to see Furman against either of them, to be honest. I want to see Taylor and Ramirez get it on for all the belts at 140. I want to see Teofimo Lopez take on either Haney or Tank, or vice versa.
Yes.
Tank with
Yes.
Haney against Tank, whatever. I want to see Shakur Stevenson against Jojo Diaz. Yes, I like that fight.
That's actually interesting.
Yeah, that's a good fight. I like that. And Miguel Berchelt as well, throw him in there. Everyone wants to stay away from him at super feather. I'd like to see Josh Warrington defend his belt and his undefeated streak against Gary Russell Jr. I also want to throw Navarrete in there like Ricey did. I like Navarrete against Warrington. I like Navarrete against Gary Russell Jr. And also I want to see Luis Nery against Ray Vargas in an all-Mexican showdown with two undefeated world champions. And then finally, Naoya Inoue against Nordin Ubali at the lower weights. I'd love to see that. But anyway, hopefully if we get half of them, all boxing fans around the world will be really pleased. But anyway, that's it for the end of the year podcast in terms of our talking. We do still have one guest to come, the sole guest, which will be Alantez Fox. We'll get to that in just a moment or two. We've done the awards for the year. There will be a tweet going out just to confirm my number 1 picks, my number 2 picks, number 3 picks, all the rest of that. So we've done the KO of the year and all that stuff. We did the review part. We did the preview part. They were very brief. We did the news. That was very brief as well. We've gone through the fights we want to see. We've gone through your pound for pound lists. I want to thank you all again, once again, for sending everything in. It's been very entertaining breaking it all down with Eddie. Eddie, though, I want to say thanks once again. We end the year here. This is the final podcast of 2020. And, once again, couldn't have done it without you. And I don't know how many podcasts we're going to do in 2021. That sounds... That probably sounds... You're probably thinking, damn, I can't get away.
What does that mean? No, I'm thinking like... I'm not thinking.
You're thinking I got to start sending some Cash App through.
Yeah, nah, I'm having a good time, man. To be honest, it's like, don't get me wrong. If I could do something like this and get paid for it, I would love that because this is too easy. But the reality of it is I would also be enjoying it. So you always want to do things you love, you know what I'm saying? So that's why being a pundit was obviously something I wanted to try to do, but I like this too. Just not making no money from it, Joe. Thank you very much. But it's all good. I ain't tripping.
Listen, if we get some sponsors on board, we would love that. If we could get some sponsors, we are certainly open. If there's any vegan food, you can just send that. Send some vegan food. That can be payment. Just send it straight to Eddie. Don't send it my way. It will go straight in the bin. But send it to Eddie. He'll take the vegan food. If Miller's want to sponsor us, Eddie, imagine that. Ooh.
Oh, you like that, huh?
If Miller's wanna sponsor us, if Famous Dave's wants to sponsor us, if Ish Kabibbles on South Street fancy throwing us some royalties.
How how about the Sunoco? The Sunoco gas station had a nice little spot in there too. They like that.
Hey, just quickly,
you remember that?
I want to say this. I shouldn't even be saying this on the podcast, but do you remember exactly where that petrol station was?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to go back there one day. They do the best Philly cheesesteak, and it shouldn't. But it shouldn't. It's in a gas station. That was the best thing. Oh, I fantasize about that every now and then, man. That was beautiful.
Well, hey man, you're easy to please, Joey. That's a good thing.
So
Give
again,
you some good food. You're happy.
I think it's clear to see that if anyone wants to sponsor us, we're open for anything. But if you've got food for us, we're double open. So that's the final message. Anyway, that's it for all the talking. The final thing to do is to welcome our sole guest on this podcast, the final podcast of what's been a crazy year, the final podcast of 2020. Here is our final guest, Mr. Alantez Fox. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the top super middleweight contender. It is, of course, Mr. Alantez Fox. Alantez, welcome back on the show, my man.
Man, it's good to be back, man. Appreciate you, Joey.
Always good to speak to you, my friend. It truly is. So, Tez, we last spoke in December of last year. It was a few weeks before the Liam Williams fight in London. I'm sorry it's been such a long time, obviously. I did text you Happy Christmas last week, a few days before Christmas, having no idea that you actually had a fight scheduled for Boxing Day. That fight is over now. You picked up a win over Mark Anthony Hernandez, over 10 rounds by decision. Tell us a bit about that, Alantez.
It was a really good scrap, man. I started off doing a little banging, boxing probably like I shouldn't have been, but I made some adjustments around round 4 or 5. After I suffered a cut from my headbutt, and we ended up getting a unanimous decision.
And also on that card, a lot of people kind of quite sad to see James Kirkland seem like he just doesn't have the punch resistance.
Yeah.
What did you make of that, man? I guess you were watching. Well, you probably weren't allowed to watch ringside, or was you?
Well, yeah, no, I wasn't able to watch it, man. I ended up watching on TV. It looked really bad, honestly, man. I hear, because I didn't even get to see him like towards the weigh-in time. From what I hear, though, they said he had starved himself for a while, for a few days, and that probably added to him not being able to take any punches or anything.
Oh dear. But anyway, getting back onto yourself, Tez, you had a fight back in August against Habib Ahmed, obviously former world title challenger. The fight didn't end the way you wanted it to, a no contest after 3 rounds. For those that don't know about that, tell us about that fight there. Was you cut, right?
Yeah, so and the first round, I feel like I hurt him. I know I hurt him in the first round. I ended up winning the first round pretty handily, right? In the second round, he came out a little bit more, I'd say a little more enthusiastic, right? But, he kind of came in wild, and he ended up headbutting me on the side of my eye. Now, they actually didn't lose the head, but they lose it by a punch. And it headbutted me right up under my eye, caused a cut. That one, we addressed that when I got back to the corner, got back out in the third round. I get back to what I was doing in the first round to start winning. And then I get another headbutt this time on the side of my head and my scalp. And so now I have both cuts were leaking. One cut from my head is leaking into my eye cut, and now my eye cut is leaking into my eye. The referee stops it, has the doctor look at me. The doctor looked at it for about 30 seconds and said he would stop the fight. They ended up stopping on no contest, man. Of course, I was irate, to say the least, but, it is boxing. But, I felt like they definitely should have seen the first headbutt as well, but, I guess that's what you got to do. Also, looking back at it, that's also my fault. I was fighting improperly, to be honest with you. I should have been fighting longer and using my distance way better. I would have never caught a headbutt otherwise.
And obviously, that was a tough kind of comeback fight because Habib Ahmed, or for the purpose of the headbutt, I'm going to call him Habib Ackhead. He's kind of still a bit of an unknown quantity. I remember when he came over and boxed Ramirez, and people just weren't kind of sure what to make of him. And even still, I don't think people are too sure. Obviously, he got stopped by Fundora, which was a brilliant win a few weeks back. But
Yeah.
but it was a tough comeback fight, and obviously since that Williams loss, you've moved up now to super middleweight. Now I remember, the first time we ever spoke, I was fascinated by how tall you were, and obviously being at a weight where the majority of guys are way smaller than you, you've got such an advantage with the height and reach. Moving up to super middleweight, I mean, obviously it's more comfortable for you to make the weight, but do your advantages go out the window slightly?
Not slight. I mean, not really. Still, honestly, I'm 6'5". I guess you see guys that are 6 feet. I mean, still, my height will carry over to heavyweight. 6'5" is like a heavyweight height. So 6'5", it doesn't really, it's not really, it doesn't really dampen my advantages at all, for real. Because I'm still one of the taller guys at super middleweight as well.
And obviously, I touched on it there. It's been a whole year since that fight with Williams. How do you reflect back on that? Obviously, it's not a happy memory, but going back now, how do you kind of assess that? Because the UK, they heard great things. A lot of people don't stay up till 5 a.m. to watch many fights, but a lot of your fights, a lot of guys over here perhaps hadn't seen the boxing fans. You came over, and I've been saying to everyone that will listen to me, that is not what Alantez Fox is about. That, I don't know what happened that night, credit to Williams, whatever, but that, you're way better than that, How do you reflect back on it, man? It's frustrating because it wasn't you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. The biggest thing in there was my lack of hydration, man. I went back in there a little smaller than I need. No, a lot smaller than I normally would go back in there, but that's because we weren't awarded some of the same things we would have been had we been over here. I didn't know that in the UK I wasn't able to get Pedialyte or Gatorade or body armors, things like that, things that were essential to my rehydration that I should have prepared and brought with me, in a bag. Us thinking we were kind of, ignorant to what the UK may or may not have, so we just kind of went over there thinking they would have everything we had. It's no reason to panic and bring everything over there. But looking back and reflecting upon that was a big mistake. I definitely should have brought that over there. And when I look at even in the fight, I could feel in the fight that I wasn't all the way there. I was just real flat. I felt really, really drained. And Liam Williams is a busy guy. He's going to come in there. He's going to take advantage of that with his work rate, and that's basically what happened. He kind of overwhelmed me. I mean, I heard him in the second round. I heard him on the right hand. In the third round, I know he hurt me with the elbow to the face. I never really recovered from. So then, about the fourth round, I pretty much was out of it. So looking back at that, like I said, it wasn't anything I could. There's a lot of things I could have done better, but I think it would have started with my rehydration.
And I want to ask you as well, outside of the ring, what did you kind of make of the way you were received over here? What was the media like? What was the fans like? I don't know how much time you had to kind of spend with them, but I remember being at the open workout that they did at that shopping centre, or as how you'd say it, shopping mall. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of fans standing with you. I remember you speaking to a few guys coming up speaking to you. What did you make of the reception?
It was actually pretty awesome over there in the UK because they weren't unfriendly. It's like they were really a fan of the sport, even though they were there for their guy. They were there as fans of the sport, not as just like casuals. I could feel, although it wasn't all love, it was all fanaticism for the fight, for the sport itself. You know what I mean? It wasn't just oh man, our guys, he's gonna whoop you guys' ass, man. It was like, man, I can't wait to see the fight. And I mean, I actually like that a lot. I wouldn't mind fighting back in the UK. I just know better when it comes to rehydration and how I have to bring things. I have to get used to the time change and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I for one would love to see you come back. But I want to ask you this as well. You've been in with Williams. A lot of Americans that I speak to, I was out there in January. So what's that? 4 weeks after your fight, maybe even less. And I was speaking to some Americans out there, and they're giving Williams no chance against someone like Andrade. How do you see that one playing out, man? You've been in with both guys. You're the best person to ask.
So the thing is, it definitely depends on where the fight's going to be. If the fight's going to be here, I don't think I can see William being outboxed. That's the big thing. He's going to be outboxed by Andrade mostly, because that's pretty much how you have to fight Williams. I don't know that Demetrius Andrade can hurt Williams or not, but I do believe Leon Williams is strong. He's strong. He's a scrappy guy, and he may be able to hurt Demetrius Andrade, but he also has to catch him. I don't know his boxing skill. His boxing skill isn't better than Demetrius Andrade's to me. But I think I'm going with Demetrius Andrade if that fight does end up happening. But it should be a classic boxer versus brawler type fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd love to see it happen, man. I hope it does happen at some point in 2021.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this as well. How is your brother Mike, and what's next for him? When are we going to hear when he's next out?
Man, so Mike actually had an opportunity to fight December 19th. He wasn't able to fight because he fractured his hand, man. He fractured his left hand, so he couldn't even make good with opportunity out there, man. One day he was sparring. I think he hit the dude on top of the head. He came back to the gym that night and he looked, and at that time it was only a little bit swollen. So I was like, okay, you should be okay, man. We just put some ice on and everything. So he iced it that night. I watched him ice it that night and everything. The next morning it looked like he got stung by a bee or something, man. His hands super swollen.
So it's a bit too soon to kind of know when he's back.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit too soon for that because we got to see how his hand heals up all the way. I mean, they said the fracture was really minor. So you know what I mean. So I mean, he could be back sooner than later. But I'm not. I for something like that, you don't rush it. You don't rush it at all because you never know what more damage could happen or may happen. He seems like he's pretty good. And really, he's still in the gym. Like, he's in the gym tonight. He's in the gym right now. He's working his right hand faithfully. So he's not gonna miss too much of a beat. He's just gonna try to get back to pumping his left hand, touching with his left hand, getting his rhythm with his left hand. That's all.
Okay, that's good to hear, man. And just finally, my final real question for you, Tez. I've been asking everyone this in the month of December. This is the final podcast I'm doing in the month of December. Obviously, it's the last one of the year.
Nice.
You're my last guest of the year. You're on the last show of the year. I want to ask you this. I've been asking it to everyone. What song even though Christmas has gone, I've been saying, what's on your Christmas wish list in terms of your career for the next year? In a realistic world, where can you be? Where do you want to be this time next year, my friend?
In a realistic world, man, honestly, next year I'll be turning 29. That's 1 year away from 30. I would love to get a world championship opportunity. I mean, with the way COVID goes down, you could always be a replacement, a last-minute replacement. So I'm always training. I stay in the gym, because we train for opportunities and not events. So that's a big thing. And if it just so happens that I'm a replacement versus the main guy, I don't mind doing that. I'm hopefully I can take advantage of any. Not hopefully, I will take advantage of any opportunity given. So in a perfect world, next year I'll be fighting the world championship fight. And that's the only thing I'm really looking for. I really don't even want to be I fought my way all the way up in the WBO to number one in the WBO, and then I had a loss to Leon Williams. Now let's just get back there. I've tasted defeat. I've tasted victory. I've tasted being at the top of the mountain. I want to get back to the top of the mountain at 168 now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I am excited for this quest of yours at the weight above, at 168.
Absolutely.
And just finally, before we let you go, Tez, if you've got any closing words to your to your supporters from over here or anywhere else in the world, any closing messages before we let you go?
The biggest thing is, man, everybody just keep watching. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at SlyAzaFox, SLYAZAFOX, man. I don't plan on this train we got going off the rails at all, man. I just plan on winning and continuing to win, and until we get to the World Championship. Just keep watching out for me. Keep looking out for keep me in your prayers, and stay safe out there. Stay healthy.
Well said, my man. Listen, Alantez, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, my man. Congrats on the win the other week. Thanks for your time, and I wish you the best of luck in your career in 2021. It's a fantastic way.
Man.
It's a fantastic way to end it, speaking with someone like you, my friend.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, man. I always love being on BoxHard Podcast, man. It's amazing.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 272 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive thank you to our sole guest on this week's podcast and one of my close friends in boxing, Mr. Alantez Fox. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. Thank you once again for all of you that sent in those helpful nominations for the pound-for-pound lists and, the picks of the year and all the fights that you want to see get made in 2021. Thank you all for that. That's about everything from myself, though. Thanks for sticking with us throughout this crazy year of 2020. I hope that these podcasts have helped you all pass the time on days where you've needed something to help you get through it. It's been an honour doing all of this for you all. I wish you all a fabulous 2021 and a happy new year. If you want to do something kind for us, we'd love it if you could put some time aside and leave us a review on iTunes. 5-star would be fantastic. We'd love that. Anyway, remember to tell a friend about the podcast. Take good care, people, and we'll see you all again next week.